Okay, so I had way more fun with this than I probably should have. Hello my friends, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be taking a quick look at Transformers Crossfire, which is a game that was recommended to me in my Discord DMs. I didn't save it, so my apologies to the person who recommended it to me, but my expectations going into this were low, to say the least. And so maybe my bottom of the barrel expectations raised this way higher than I thought it would be. But regardless, I had a blast with this. This game is super fun, and if you just in general like PvP games, I would give this a shot because it's pretty unique and it's really fun to play. Basically, Transformers Crossfire is an extremely simple game. You pick between Autobots or Decepticons, you spawn into the map, and you kill the enemy team. Now this simplicity is a blessing and a curse that I will get to later. But really, the mechanics on display here are what make the game interesting, unique, and fun. Number one, because this is an asymmetrical game, and I am a real sucker for those. Both the Autobots and Decepticons have their own unique rosters of heroes and villains that you can play as. And because they're all unique, they all have different transformations, as well as different attacks for their primary weapon, secondary weapon, as well as whatever their attack may be while they're in their vehicle form. And obviously all of those vehicle forms vary, with some being able to fly, some being able to drive, you get the idea. And so really, depending on which faction you pick and which characters you have unlocked, you can play radically different ways of playing the game, and that's just super cool. One of the big things you have to take into consideration while playing is how large of a transformer your transformer is. Because while the big body transformers do have a lot of health and also tend to be able to dish out a good amount of damage, they're big boys, and big boys are real easy to shoot and become massive targets. But on the contrary, if you pick a smaller transformer, obviously you're quick and nimble and you can avoid damage a lot easier, but if you're taking hits, you can only take so many. And so it plays into these interesting choices. One of the most interesting characters while I was playing was definitely Jazz, who's this really fast hit and run character. He's small, dishes out a ton of damage, but he is a glass cannon in every sense of the word. You get hit 3 or 4 times and yeah, you're dead. So you have to make great use of your mobility. And mobility is probably the most fun part about this game, and also yet another thing that makes me really enjoy playing it. The transforming part of a Transformers game is actually really important, and that is fantastic. Unsurprisingly, while you're driving around in a car, you're not quite as powerful as you are in your robot form, at least for most of the characters in the game. But obviously with the contrast of the fact that now you're fast as shit. Driving around in this game is super fun, and the fact that you can use your stealth mode to turn on a dime at any given time means that the margin for error is basically non-existent, and you can always be going at top speed, which is so much fun. Really, when it comes down to it, Transformers Crossfire a lot of the time almost feels more like a movement shooter than it does big robots fighting each other, which I don't know how they pulled that off, but it works out real well. When you combine the transforming with the relatively quick movement, the larger hitboxes on the larger characters, and the ability to dash, this game is just so interesting. Now, that being said, I did run into some problems, and so I hope the developers of the game end up seeing this video, so ideally they can remedy some of these things, because all of them are pretty obvious, and I think all of them will just make for a better game. The first, which isn't really a problem at all, but I just wish it was an option, is Newbie lobbies. So as you've probably noticed by now in the gameplay that you're seeing in the background, I'm absolutely fucking destroying everybody, and it's not even close. And that's because as of, I think, a couple of days ago, they introduced this mechanic called Newbie lobbies, where if you're under, I think, 350 kills, you get put in these lobbies with other people who are under 350 kills. Now this is a good thing in my opinion. It means people can get their bearings without getting completely raffle stomped by people like me. The problem is that there is zero choice in the matter. I don't know if it's too tall of an ask, and considering that I'm out of the newbie lobbies now, it's not that big of a deal. But regardless, I think that there should be a choice when you get into the game, if you are below 350 kills, to play in the normal games. Because I would have been just fine playing in the normal games when I was starting out, because I'm a competent player. And so beating up on all of these people who literally don't know how to play the game, and I had no choice in the matter, yeah, it was a little fun, not gonna lie, going on a complete rampage. But when all is said and done, when my ending stats are this, a KD of 45 and a 100% win-loss, I think I should be given the choice to maybe go to an area that's a little bit more on my level, because I can't imagine the people playing against me enjoyed the guy going like flawless pretty much every game and getting 405 kills and 9 deaths. No, but more on the topic of actual problems, which a few of those I actually found specifically because I was in those new player servers, with the most important one being friend-foe identification. In this game, IDing friend from foe does not exist. Okay, so it kind of exists. If you get close enough to your friendly or your enemy, it will show whether they're an Autobot or Decepticon. And if you've been playing the game for a decent chunk of time, you'll start to be able to realize who's who. Because after all, every Transformer looks unique, and because of that, if I'm playing against the Decepticons, I probably know what most of the Decepticons look like, and so I can just ID them by looking at their silhouette and, you know, what they look like. But for new players of the game, this isn't an option, and because of that, I had way too many moments. Hopefully I can find some of them to put them on screen, where I would literally walk up to a teammate and they would be completely clueless as to me being on their team and would shoot me and shoot me and shoot me and shoot me, clearly having no idea what's going on. And so when your target audience is, let's be honest here, Roblox kids who have no clue what's happening, I think there needs to be something like a blue indicator or a little teammate indicator over top of your teammates' heads when you're trying to aim at them, or just over top of your teammates' heads in general, so that way these people know who to shoot and they're not just blindly firing at everything that moves, because that doesn't work. Now, the other major problem with Transformers Crossfire, in my opinion, is, well, it's the lack of game modes. Yeah, so this game has one mode. One. Singular. There is Team Deathmatch, and that's it. And all things considered, that's a real shame. I think the game would benefit substantially from actual game modes that could cycle even randomly throughout the times you're playing. Something as simple as Call of Duty Domination, where you hop on a flag and you stay there for a little bit and you'll capture it. Just anything aside from hunt down and kill everything that moves every single round, no matter what. I also think that objective-based games are necessary because it means that progression for lower-skilled players is significantly less handicapped. I like the way progression works in this game. It significantly rewards you for playing well. When you get kills and assists, you get currency. When you win the game, you get currency. So if you get a ton of kills, then you're gonna be doing really well, and you're gonna get a lot of points. That said, I don't think that this type of progression should be directly at the expense of, well, everyone else. And so when we have people in my game getting 0 kills or 2 kills, I think they should also have a decent chance of being able to unlock stuff, you know, instead of not having that. And so if they got points for playing the objective and objective modes, it would alleviate that substantially. And then finally, I guess the last thing that I have to say is more of a nitpick than anything, but I really wish we could have a toggle for the announcer, especially after you get kills. Not only because sometimes it bugs out and plays 2 voice lines on top of each other, but also, as much as I want to hear Optimus Prime saying, "Marvelous, marvelous, great kill, marvelous," every single time I kill someone, I wish I could turn that off. And the settings menu literally does not have settings. It only has your stats, which I don't know why they're in the settings menu, but what do I know? Anyways, overall, I just had a lot of fun with this game, and I hope they keep working on it, and I hope it gets better. Because, for a little tidbit fun fact about me, I was a really big Transformers fan back when I was a kid. The first Bayformers movie came out when I was 7 years old, and while I know there are some hardcore Transformers fans out there that hate the Bayformers movies, as a kid, that was pretty much my introduction to Transformers, and it got me into them big time. I used to play the absolute crap out of these really bad DS games at the time, and I think the reason that I probably had so much more fun with this than I otherwise would have is this is the kind of game that I wish I had when I was 7 years old and playing Transformers games. And so I'm really glad that something like this has roughly 1,000 players playing it, and a lot of people get to experience something that I never really could. And the thing is, when it comes to this, I think it's abundantly clear that the people behind it have a lot of passion for their game. I mean, this is one of the most well-animated games I've seen, and I can only imagine that Transformers animations are probably the biggest bitch on the entire planet. So many moving parts, good God, I don't even want to think about trying to make stuff like that. And yet the people behind this have made several, which is mind-boggling. Anyways, I was initially going to talk about balance and how it's probably a complete dumpster fire. Or, correction, is almost certainly a complete dumpster fire. But considering that this is a Roblox game, and considering the fact that 80% of the matches have a bunch of people getting 0 kills, even out of the new player lobbies, I don't think too many people are very worried about balance, and I don't think I give a shit to really deep dive into it. If you want the Cliff Notes version of it, it seems to me like all of the aerial Transformers are kind of broken. They've got a decent chunk of health, they have unparalleled mobility, and they can shoot from the sky, and video game players notoriously don't look up, which means a lot of the time you can just drop on people and murder them. I'm sure you've been seeing it. And I'm sure there's other glaring balance problems, but like I said, frankly, don't really care. Game's fun, give it a go. With that, I'm done, so if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe. If you didn't, don't. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day now wherever you are, and I'll see you guys next time.